Too many people spend their lives chasing approval, chasing trends, chasing what everybody else is doing, and forgetting the most important person they should be chasing, themselves. You see, when you spend your time looking left and right, comparing your journey to someone else's, you lose sight of where you're going. You lose focus on the road you're meant to walk. And the truth is, you can't become your best self if you're too busy trying to be someone else. Focusing on yourself doesn't mean being selfish, it means being responsible. Responsible for your growth. Responsible for your dreams. Responsible for the person you're becoming. When you put your energy into becoming better every single day, you stop being distracted by gossip, competition, or other people's opinions. You learn that real success doesn't come from outshining others. It comes from outgrowing the person you were yesterday. Some people will misunderstand you. They'll say you've changed. And you know what? They're right. You have changed. Because you're no longer living to fit into their box. You're no longer running a race they designed. You're running your own race at your own pace toward your own goals. The moment you stop competing with the world and start competing with yourself, everything changes. You work harder, not for applause, but for progress. You build habits, not for recognition, but for transformation. You protect your energy because you know it's the fuel for your future. So don't get lost in the noise. Don't get trapped in comparison. Focus on building the skills, the mindset, and the discipline that will carry you to where you want to be. Your time is too precious to waste on things that don't grow you. Your energy is too valuable to give away to people who don't see your worth. And your dreams are too important to put on hold while you watch someone else live theirs. This is your journey, your path, your story. Focus on yourself, because the greatest investment you will ever make is in you. Comparison is one of the most silent thieves of joy and progress. It's something we all do, often without even realizing it. You scroll through social media and see someone traveling to places you've never been, wearing clothes you can't afford, achieving milestones you wish you had. You glance at a coworker who seems to get recognition faster, or a friend who appears to have their life all figured out. And a little voice inside starts whispering, "Why aren't you there yet? Why aren't you doing as well as them?" That voice is dangerous, because it takes your focus away from the one thing you actually have control over, your own growth. When you compare yourself to others, you're looking at their highlight reel while ignoring your own behind-the-scenes work. You can't see the struggles they've faced, the failures they've endured, or the sacrifices they've made. And even if you could, it wouldn't matter, because their journey isn't yours. The truth is, no two people start from the exact same place. We all have different backgrounds, opportunities, strengths, and challenges. What took someone 5 years to accomplish might take you 10. And that doesn't make you a failure. It makes you human. The moment you stop measuring your worth against someone else's timeline, you free yourself to progress at your own pace. That's where the real growth happens, when you start asking, am I better than I was yesterday? Instead of, am I better than them? When you focus on your own journey, you shift your attention from external validation to internal progress. Instead of chasing likes, approval, or applause, you start chasing mastery, discipline, and fulfillment. That's when your motivation becomes sustainable, because it's not dependent on how other people perceive you. If your motivation relies on beating others, then the moment you're no longer ahead, you'll feel defeated. But if your motivation comes from self-improvement, you can keep moving forward no matter what others are doing. It's important to understand that comparison often comes from insecurity. When you're not confident in where you're going or who you're becoming, it's easy to look outside yourself for proof that you're doing okay. But the problem is, you'll never find lasting reassurance in other people's lives. Someone will always seem richer, happier, fitter, more successful. If that's your metric for feeling good about yourself, you'll be in a constant cycle of disappointment. True security comes from knowing that your worth isn't tied to how you rank against anyone else. It's tied to the effort, consistency, and courage you bring to your own path. Focusing on your own growth means paying attention to what actually moves you forward. It's about identifying the habits, skills, and mindsets you need to build, and then committing to them regardless of what's happening in someone else's life. For example, if your goal is to get healthier, your measure of success shouldn't be whether you look like someone you saw online. It should be whether you're eating better than you used to, exercising more consistently than you did last month, or feeling stronger than you did last year. That's progress that belongs entirely to you, and no one can take it away. One of the most damaging effects of comparison is that it distracts you from your own opportunities. While you're busy watching someone else's lane, you might miss the open road right in front of you. You might miss the chance to take a risk, learn a skill, or build something meaningful because you're too caught up in proving you're as good as someone else. But when you stop comparing, you start seeing, you notice the chances you have to improve, the people who can help you grow, and the unique strengths you bring to the table. You realize that your value doesn't diminish just because someone else is shining. It's also worth remembering that everyone's journey has unseen struggles. That person you're comparing yourself to might be dealing with challenges you can't imagine. They might be sacrificing sleep, health, relationships, or mental peace to achieve what you're admiring. And they might be looking at you wishing they had something you take for granted. We often assume someone else's life is easier, but in reality, every path comes with its own difficulties. The more you understand that, the less tempting it becomes to measure your worth against others. Breaking free from comparison takes intentional effort. One powerful strategy is to track your own progress instead of tracking others. Keep a journal of the actions you take, the goals you hit, and the lessons you learn. When you look back at where you started, you'll see just how far you've come. That reminder can be a huge source of motivation, especially on days when it feels like you're not moving fast enough. Another strategy is to limit the environments that trigger comparison. If certain social media platforms make you feel inadequate, reduce your time there. If certain conversations always turn into competition, shift the topic or spend less time engaging in them. Focusing on yourself also means celebrating your wins, no matter how small. If you're constantly waiting for a huge breakthrough before you acknowledge your progress, you'll overlook the small victories that are building your momentum. Every time you stick to a habit, learn something new, or push yourself a little further, that's worth recognizing. Those small wins compound over time, and they're often what lead to the bigger successes you're aiming for. One more thing, when you focus on yourself, you naturally start to develop empathy for others. You stop seeing life as a zero-sum game where someone else's win means your loss. Instead, you start seeing everyone as running their own race, facing their own battles, and striving for their own version of success. That mindset shift allows you to genuinely cheer for others without feeling like you're falling behind. It also makes it easier for you to accept help, share knowledge, and collaborate, because you're no longer trapped in the illusion that success is a limited resource. The reality is, comparison will always try to creep in. It's human nature to notice where we stand in relation to others. But you have the power to redirect your attention. Every time you catch yourself measuring your worth against someone else's, pause and ask, what's one thing I can do today to move forward in my own life? That simple question shifts your focus back where it belongs, on your actions, your progress, your growth. The more you train yourself to think this way, the less energy you waste on things you can't control, and the more energy you can invest in the one thing you can control, yourself. And over time, you'll notice something amazing. The less you compare, the more you achieve. Not because you're chasing someone else's pace, but because you're running at the pace that's right for you. You'll find more peace in your process, more pride in your progress, and more power in your purpose. When you stop comparing and start progressing, you free yourself to live a life that's fully yours, built on your values, your goals, and your vision, and that's when the real transformation begins. There's a common misconception that focusing on yourself automatically means you're selfish, as if taking care of your own needs, goals, and well-being somehow means neglecting everyone else. But that couldn't be further from the truth. In reality, prioritizing yourself is not an act of selfishness. It's an act of responsibility. It's about recognizing that you are the foundation of everything you bring into the world. And if you don't take care of that foundation, everything built on top of it will eventually crack. Think about it like this. If you were building a house, you wouldn't start with the walls or the roof. You'd start with the foundation, making sure it's strong, stable, and secure. The same goes for your life. You can't pour into your career, your relationships, your goals, or your responsibilities if you're constantly running on empty. And yet, so many people treat themselves like an afterthought, putting everyone else's needs ahead of their own until they're exhausted, burned out, and wondering why they feel stuck. Focusing on yourself means giving yourself permission to prioritize your mental, emotional, and physical health without guilt. It means saying no when you need rest, even if others don't understand. It means carving out time to learn, grow, and improve your skills so that you can show up as your best self, not just for you, but for the people around you. When you're stronger, healthier, and more grounded, you have more energy, patience, and clarity to help others. That's not selfish. That's sustainable. The truth is, when you neglect yourself for too long, it's not just you who suffers. Your relationships start to feel strained because you're too drained to connect. Your work suffers because you're too burned out to be creative or focused. Your dreams get pushed to the background because you're too busy putting out everyone else's fires. By the time you realize what's happened, years can pass before you finally start reclaiming your time and energy. That's why focusing on yourself isn't optional, it's necessary. There's also a deeper layer to this. When you focus on yourself, you take ownership of your life. You stop waiting for someone else to give you permission, to save you, or to tell you what's possible for you. You become the driver of your own journey. You decide what's important, you set your priorities, and you take action that aligns with your values. That kind of ownership is empowering, but it also comes with responsibility. You can't blame others for holding you back if you're not doing the work to move yourself forward. This is where discipline comes in. Self-focus isn't about indulging every desire or doing only what feels good in the moment. It's about doing what's necessary to create the life you want, even when it's uncomfortable. Sometimes that means waking up earlier to work on a goal. Sometimes it means saying no to social events so you can focus on a project. Sometimes it means having tough conversations with yourself about habits that are holding you back. Responsibility means not just knowing what you want, but also holding yourself accountable to do the work it takes to get there. People often fear that if they focus too much on themselves, they'll lose touch with others or seem self-absorbed. But in reality, when you're centered and clear about who you are, you're actually more present in your relationships. You stop needing others to fill your emotional gaps because you've already taken the time to fill them yourself. That creates healthier, more balanced interactions, ones that aren't built on dependency or resentment. It's also worth noting that self-focus is not about isolation. It's not about shutting out the world or ignoring the needs of others. It's about creating a healthy balance between giving and receiving, between helping others and helping yourself. Imagine trying to help someone climb a mountain when you haven't even learned how to keep your own footing. You'd both end up slipping. But if you've taken the time to strengthen your own balance, you can reach out and support others without losing your own stability. Another important aspect of focusing on yourself is self-awareness. This means taking the time to really understand your strengths, weaknesses, triggers, and patterns. You can't improve what you don't acknowledge. By being honest with yourself about where you need to grow, you give yourself a clear direction for your efforts. Without that awareness, it's easy to fall into the trap of trying to fix problems that aren't really yours or chasing goals that don't actually align with your values. Self-awareness also helps you set better boundaries. When you know your limits, you can protect your time and energy more effectively. You stop saying yes out of guilt and start saying yes out of genuine desire or alignment. That shift not only improves your own life, but also strengthens the respect others have for you. People are far more likely to value your time when they see that you value it yourself. The beauty of focusing on yourself is that it has a ripple effect. When people see you taking responsibility for your growth, setting boundaries, and showing up consistently for your goals, it inspires them to do the same. You become an example, not by preaching, but by living your values. You show others that it's possible to take care of yourself while still contributing meaningfully to the world around you. This kind of focus also protects you from burnout. In a world that constantly demands more work, more attention, more output, It's easy to lose yourself in the noise, but when you've committed to prioritizing your own well-being, you know when to step back, recharge, and come back stronger. You stop seeing rest as a weakness and start seeing it as a strategy. Because the truth is, no one can run at full speed forever. The people who succeed long-term are the ones who know how to pace themselves. One of the biggest challenges in focusing on yourself is dealing with outside opinions. Not everyone will understand your priorities. Some will take it personally when you set boundaries. Others might criticize you for changing or for not being as available as you used to be. This is where resilience matters. You have to remember that you're not living for their approval. You're living for your own alignment and purpose. People who truly care about you will respect your growth, even if it takes time for them to adjust. Focusing on yourself is a form of leadership. It's taking the lead in your own life so that you can be more effective in everything else you do. It's refusing to wait for the right time or the perfect circumstances, and instead choosing to create momentum now. It's about knowing that you are responsible for the energy you bring into every room, every project, and every relationship. At its core, self-focus is about honoring the fact that you only get one life, one body, one mind, and it's your job to take care of it. No one else can do that for you. No one else can make your decisions, take your actions, or live your days. That's your responsibility. And the more seriously you take that responsibility, the better equipped you are to handle whatever life throws your way. When you understand that focusing on yourself is not selfish but essential, you stop feeling guilty for putting your needs first. You see that it's the most effective way to create a life of purpose, balance, and strength, not just for you, but for everyone who depends on you. And when you commit to that, everything in your life starts to align with the person you're becoming. Growth is not about competing with the world. It's about competing with the person you were yesterday. This shift in perspective changes everything. When you stop trying to measure your worth against the accomplishments of others and instead focus on your own personal evolution, you step into a healthier, more sustainable form of progress. You stop chasing approval and validation from the outside world, and instead you become deeply invested in the idea of being just a little bit better than you were the day before. The problem with competing against others is that the race never ends. There will always be someone richer, more talented, more skilled, or further ahead than you in some area of life. If your sense of success depends on being better than someone else, you'll spend your entire life in a constant state of dissatisfaction. On the other hand, when your only competition is your past self, the playing field becomes fair. You're no longer bound by someone else's pace or achievements. You set your own standard for growth. This approach allows you to focus on incremental improvement. You don't need to make giant leaps every day. You just need to make small, consistent steps forward. For example, if yesterday you procrastinated for half the day, today you aim to get started a little earlier. If last week you lost your temper in a situation, this week you work on keeping calm a little longer. These small wins compound over time, and before you realize it, you've created significant change in your life without the constant stress of competing with others. One of the most empowering aspects of this mindset is that it keeps you grounded in reality. When you're focused on beating someone else, you often set unrealistic or irrelevant goals because you're trying to replicate their path. But their path isn't yours. Their strengths, weaknesses, resources, and challenges are unique to them. By focusing on outgrowing your past self, you create goals that are actually meaningful and achievable for you. You measure progress by your own metrics, not by what society or someone else decides is important. There's also a huge psychological benefit to this way of thinking. Competing with others can create feelings of envy, resentment, and even bitterness when you see them succeed. But when you're only competing with yourself, someone else's success doesn't feel like a threat. It feels irrelevant to your own progress. You can celebrate others without feeling like you're falling behind because you're not in the same race. This creates a healthier mental environment where motivation comes from within rather than from comparison. Another powerful part of focusing on outgrowing your past self is that it keeps you accountable. You can't hide from your own results. You know exactly what effort you put in yesterday, last week, last month. If you didn't improve, you can't blame it on someone else holding you back. That honesty forces you to take responsibility for your actions and decisions. And while that might feel uncomfortable at first, it's one of the most important ingredients for real growth. Tracking your progress can help make this mindset tangible. You can journal your habits, keep a log of your workouts, track your savings, record your milestones, whatever area you're trying to improve. The key is to have something concrete to compare yourself against. Without this, it's easy to feel like you're not making progress simply because you can't see it clearly. But when you have a written or visual record, you can look back and say, I've actually come a long way. That recognition is motivating and reminds you that growth is happening even if it's slow. It's also important to recognize that progress isn't always linear. There will be days, weeks, or even months where it feels like you've taken a step backward. That's okay. The goal isn't perfection, it's persistence. If you were to chart your growth, it would look less like a straight line and more like a series of peaks and valleys, gradually trending upward. When you're competing with yourself, you understand that a setback isn't failure. It's part of the process. You learn from it, adjust, and keep going. Another hidden benefit of this mindset is the resilience it builds. When you're in competition with others, failure feels devastating because you've lost to them. But when you're in competition with yourself, failure becomes data. It's simply feedback showing you where you need to improve. That makes it less emotional and more practical. Instead of thinking, I'm not good enough, you start thinking, I can do better next time. That small change in language keeps you moving forward. Focusing on outgrowing who you were yesterday also makes your achievements more meaningful. When you achieve something just to prove you're better than someone else, the satisfaction is temporary. Once they move ahead again, or someone else surpasses you, the emptiness returns. But when you achieve something because it's genuinely important to your growth and aligned with your values, the satisfaction lasts. It becomes part of your identity, not just a momentary win. One challenge people face with this mindset is impatience. We live in a world that celebrates instant results, quick success stories, overnight transformations, and rapid progress. But true self-growth doesn't happen overnight. It's the result of thousands of small choices made consistently over time. You have to trust the process, even when you don't see dramatic changes right away. The beauty of competing with yourself is that you start to appreciate the journey, not just the destination. Every small improvement is a victory worth acknowledging. Self-reflection plays a huge role here. You can't improve on who you were yesterday if you don't take the time to understand what worked and what didn't. This means setting aside moments in your week to review your actions, decisions, and results. Ask yourself questions like, did I act in alignment with my values? Did I give my best effort? Where did I fall short and why? This kind of reflection keeps you focused on progress instead of perfection. It's also important to remember that outgrowing your past self isn't limited to skills or achievements. It's also about character. Maybe yesterday you judged someone too quickly, but today you approach them with more empathy. Maybe last month you avoided difficult conversations, but this month you're learning to communicate openly. Growth isn't just about doing more, it's about becoming more patient, more disciplined, more compassionate, more resilient. Over time, this way of living creates a deep sense of fulfillment. You're not stuck chasing someone else's approval or trying to live up to an image that isn't yours. You're building a life that reflects your values, your effort, and your vision. And because your progress is measured against your own past, you'll always be able to see how far you've come, no matter how far you still have to go. When you commit to outgrowing who you were yesterday, you give yourself a powerful gift, the freedom to define success on your own terms. You stop being a prisoner of comparison and instead become the architect of your own evolution. It's not always easy, but it's always worth it, because you're building a version of yourself that's stronger, wiser, and more capable than the one before. And as long as you keep moving forward, even in small steps, you're winning the only race that truly matters. Your time and energy are finite resources, yet so many people spend them carelessly, scattering them across activities, people, and habits that don't truly serve their growth. Protecting your energy means being intentional about where you invest yourself, mentally, emotionally, and physically. It's about recognizing that you cannot pour from an empty cup. And if you keep giving away your focus and vitality without replenishing it, you will inevitably burn out. Energy is the fuel that drives your actions, and without it, even the best plans and intentions collapse. The first step to protecting your energy is becoming aware of what drains you and what fuels you. This requires self-reflection and honesty. Not everything that feels urgent is important, and not everyone who demands your attention deserves it. Some conversations, environments, and habits leave you feeling exhausted, while others leave you feeling inspired and alive. If you start paying attention, you'll see the patterns. Maybe it's certain people who constantly complain but never take action. Maybe it's habits like scrolling endlessly on social media, or saying yes to commitments you don't really care about. Protecting your energy begins with identifying those leaks and deciding to plug them. One of the most powerful tools for conserving your energy is learning how to say no without guilt. Many people overcommit because they're afraid of disappointing others or being seen as selfish. But every yes you give to something unimportant is a no to something that matters. If you constantly agree to things that don't align with your values or priorities, you'll end up resentful, tired, and unable to focus on your own goals. Saying no isn't about being unkind. It's about being clear on what's worth your time. Boundaries are a key part of this process. Boundaries aren't walls to shut people out. They're filters that protect your well-being. They help you decide what you will and will not accept in your life. For example, you might set a boundary that you won't engage in negative gossip, that you won't work beyond a certain hour, or that you won't respond to non-urgent messages during your personal time. These boundaries preserve your mental clarity and allow you to use your energy for things that actually move you forward. Protecting your energy also means paying attention to your physical health. Your body is the vehicle that carries you through life, and if you neglect it, your energy will suffer. Proper rest, good nutrition, regular exercise, and hydration might sound simple, but they are the foundation of sustained energy. Many people try to push through exhaustion with caffeine or willpower, but nothing replaces the impact of real, restorative habits. When you treat your body well, it rewards you with the stamina you need to tackle challenges. Equally important is protecting your mental and emotional energy. This means being selective about the content you consume and the conversations you engage in. What you allow into your mind shapes your thoughts, and your thoughts shape your actions. If you fill your mind with negativity, fear, and distractions, you'll feel drained before you even start your day. On the other hand, if you fill it with knowledge, inspiration, and positive influences, you create an internal environment that supports growth. Sometimes protecting your energy requires stepping back from situations that you can't control. People often waste enormous amounts of mental energy worrying about things that are beyond their influence. What others think, the choices other people make, or events they can't change. This creates constant stress and leaves little energy for the things you can control. By letting go of the need to control everything, you free up energy for action in areas where you can actually make a difference. Your environment plays a huge role in your energy levels as well. A cluttered, chaotic space can subtly drain you, while a clean and organized environment can give you a sense of calm and focus. The people you surround yourself with matter too. Being around supportive, driven, and positive individuals will naturally lift your energy, while being around constant complainers or pessimists will pull it down. Protecting your energy sometimes means creating distance from relationships or situations that consistently leave you feeling depleted. There's also a deeper emotional element to this. When you allow yourself to be constantly available to everyone else's needs, you start to neglect your own. You become reactive instead of proactive, letting your day be dictated by other people's urgencies. Protecting your energy requires shifting into a proactive mindset, designing your days around your priorities and not letting outside noise constantly interrupt them. This might mean scheduling focused work time, unplugging from devices at certain hours, or setting aside quiet time for reflection and planning. Another essential part of conserving your energy is managing your thoughts. Mental chatter can be one of the biggest drains on your energy if left unchecked. Worry, overthinking, and replaying past mistakes all consume valuable focus that could be used productively. Practicing mindfulness or meditation can help you train your mind to stay in the present and prevent it from running endlessly in circles. The calmer and clearer your mind, the more energy you have for meaningful action. Protecting your energy isn't about avoiding hard work. It's about avoiding wasted effort. Hard work that's aligned with your goals can be energizing, even if it's physically or mentally demanding. But constant effort in the wrong direction leaves you feeling empty. The difference is intentionality. If you know why you're doing something and it's tied to your vision, the work fuels you instead of draining you. This is why it's so important to regularly check that your daily activities align with your larger purpose. Rest and recovery are also non-negotiable. We live in a culture that glorifies constant hustle, but non-stop effort without breaks leads to burnout. Just as athletes schedule rest days to allow their muscles to recover, you need to schedule time to recharge mentally and emotionally. This isn't wasted time, it's an investment in your long-term performance. Taking time for hobbies, nature, quiet reflection, or simply doing nothing for a while can restore the energy you need to keep going. Protecting your energy also means protecting your focus from constant distractions. Every time you get pulled away from what you're doing, whether it's by a notification, a phone call, or an irrelevant task, you spend extra energy just to refocus. Over the course of a day, this constant switching drains you far more than you realize. By creating an environment with fewer interruptions and training yourself to work in deep focus stretches, you conserve a huge amount of mental energy. Finally, protecting your energy requires a mindset shift about your own worth. Many people give away their time and energy too freely because they undervalue themselves. They feel obligated to be constantly available or to say yes to every request. But when you truly value yourself, you recognize that your time and energy are precious and that using them wisely is an act of self-respect. You start to treat your energy like money, investing it in things that bring returns and avoiding wasteful spending. When you guard your energy, you're not shutting the world out. You're making sure you can show up fully for the things and people that matter most. You're ensuring that you have the capacity to pursue your goals, handle challenges, and live in alignment with your values. The more you protect your energy, the more powerful your actions become, because every bit of effort is directed toward what truly matters. And in the end, that's how you build a life that's not just busy but meaningful. Life is not a race against other people. It's a journey that unfolds at its own pace. And the sooner you realize that, the more peace you will have. Running your own race means understanding that your timeline, your dreams, and your path are uniquely yours. Too many people waste years trying to keep up with someone else's schedule, thinking they're falling behind because someone they know achieves something faster. But speed doesn't determine success. Alignment does. It doesn't matter if someone else reaches a milestone before you. What matters is whether you reach your own in a way that's true to who you are. When you run your own race, you free yourself from the constant anxiety of comparison. Comparison is a thief of joy because it shifts your focus from your progress to someone else's. If you're always looking at another person's lane, you can't run yours effectively. Athletes know that the moment they start looking sideways at their competitors, they lose speed and balance. The same applies in life. When you're focused on what someone else is doing, you take energy away from what you should be doing. The beauty of running your own race is that it allows you to define what winning looks like. For some, winning may mean financial freedom. For others, it might mean building strong relationships, creating art, or living in good health. If you let the world decide what success should mean for you, you risk chasing goals that don't actually fulfill you. Your race should be designed around your personal values and your vision for life. That way, every step you take has purpose, and every goal you achieve feels satisfying because it's truly yours. A major part of running your own race is pacing yourself. Life is a marathon, not a sprint. Some seasons require slow, steady progress, while others call for bursts of intense effort. The problem is that many people treat every moment as a sprint, exhausting themselves early and losing momentum. Others go too slowly, not out of strategy, but out of fear. When you run your own race, you learn to listen to your own rhythm. You know when to push harder and when to rest. This balance allows you to go further without burning out. Patience is an essential part of this process. The world we live in rewards instant gratification, but meaningful achievements often take time. If you're always rushing to get to the finish line, you miss the lessons and growth that happen along the way. The truth is, the journey is just as important as the destination. because the person you become on the way there determines how you handle success once you get it. By focusing on steady, intentional progress, you ensure that you're not just arriving somewhere quickly, you're arriving prepared. It's also important to realize that your race will look different from everyone else's, because you have different strengths, weaknesses, resources, and challenges. Some people start with advantages you don't have, while others face obstacles you'll never encounter. This is why comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 10 makes no sense. You might be building a foundation while they're building a rooftop, but both are part of the process. Trust your stage and focus on making the most of it. Running your own race also requires setting boundaries with outside influences. Friends, family, and society may have opinions about what you should be doing, when you should be doing it, and how it should be done. While advice can be valuable, it becomes harmful when it pulls you away from your own path. You have to be able to filter out the noise and stick to what aligns with your vision. That might mean saying no to opportunities that don't fit your goals, even if they look appealing from the outside. Another key element is adaptability. Every race has unexpected twists, obstacles, detours, or even complete changes in direction. If you're too focused on following a fixed plan, you might resist the adjustments necessary to keep moving forward. When you're committed to your own race, you understand that the route can change without the purpose changing. You may need to slow down, take a different path, or even start fresh in certain areas. But as long as you're still headed toward your vision, you're still progressing. The mindset you bring to your race determines how you experience it. If you see challenges as setbacks, you'll feel defeated. If you see them as part of the training, you'll feel stronger for having gone through them. This shift in perspective allows you to appreciate the tough moments, because they're shaping you into the person who can handle your destination. Every athlete trains under resistance because it makes them faster and more resilient. Life works the same way. Your race should also be fueled by gratitude. When you constantly fixate on how far you have to go, it's easy to overlook how far you've already come. Taking the time to acknowledge your progress keeps you motivated and prevents discouragement. Gratitude doesn't mean you stop striving. It means you run with a sense of appreciation for the fact that you're even in the race at all. That mindset keeps your energy steady and your attitude positive. Part of running your own race is being okay with different seasons of life. There will be times when you're in full motion, chasing goals with intensity, and other times when you need to slow down to rest, reflect, or redirect. These pauses are not failures, they're strategic breaks that allow you to come back stronger. Just as runners pace themselves for endurance, you have to pace yourself for longevity in life. When you're truly committed to your own race, other people's opinions lose their power over you. You stop needing constant approval because you're grounded in your own vision. You understand that some people won't understand your path, and that's fine. It wasn't designed for them. This frees you from the exhausting cycle of seeking validation and lets you focus entirely on your own growth. Running your own race also teaches you self-trust. The more you make decisions based on your own intuition and values, the more you strengthen your ability to rely on yourself. Over time, you stop second-guessing every choice because you've proven to yourself that you can make progress without following someone else's map. That trust in yourself becomes one of your greatest assets, not just for this race, but for every challenge you'll face in life. In the end, the only person you have to answer to is yourself. When you cross the finish line, whether that's a goal, a dream, or the end of your life, you won't be thinking about whether you beat someone else. You'll be thinking about whether you gave your best effort, whether you stayed true to your vision, and whether the race you ran was one worth running. That's why staying in your lane and honoring your pace isn't just good advice. It's the only way to ensure you finish with pride. If you understand that life isn't about outrunning others, but about outlasting your own doubts, fears, and excuses, you unlock a whole new way of living. Your race becomes less about stress and more about purpose. You start making choices that feel right for you instead of ones that look right to the world. You stop measuring your worth by someone else's stopwatch and start measuring it by your own growth and fulfillment. And in that moment, you're not just running your own race, you're winning it every single day. The greatest investment you will ever make is in yourself. While money, property, and material possessions can be lost, stolen, or devalued, the skills, knowledge, discipline, and mindset you build within yourself can never be taken away. Investing in yourself first is about recognizing that you are your most valuable asset. If you improve who you are, your thinking, your habits, your abilities, everything else in life can improve as a result. When you grow, the opportunities around you expand. When you become stronger, wiser, and more capable, you naturally elevate every area of your life. Too often, people prioritize external gains over internal growth. They focus on earning more money before they focus on learning how to manage it. They chase recognition before they develop the competence to handle the responsibilities that come with it. This backwards approach leads to stress, burnout, and even failure. But when you prioritize investing in yourself before the promotions, before the business ventures, before the big leaps, you build a foundation that can support lasting success. Investing in yourself starts with continuous learning. The world changes fast, and the skills that got you here may not be enough to take you forward. By committing to education, whether through books, courses, seminars, mentorships, or self-study, you keep yourself sharp and relevant. Every skill you gain increases your value, not just to employers or clients, but to yourself. It also gives you more confidence, because competence breeds self-assurance. When you know you're capable, you carry yourself differently. You speak with conviction, and you act with purpose. Your mindset is another crucial area to invest in. No matter how much talent or skill you have, if your mindset is weak, fear and doubt will sabotage your progress. Developing a resilient, positive, and disciplined mind requires deliberate effort. This might mean surrounding yourself with uplifting influences, practicing gratitude, or learning how to reframe challenges as opportunities. Mental training is just as important as physical or technical training, because the way you think determines the way you act, and the way you act determines your results. Physical health is also a key investment. It's impossible to perform at your best if you're constantly tired, stressed, or sick. Exercise, nutrition, rest, and self-care aren't luxuries. They're essentials. When you take care of your body, you improve your energy levels, focus, and emotional stability. You also strengthen your discipline, because building healthy habits requires consistency and commitment. Many people underestimate the link between physical well-being and success, but the truth is, your health impacts your performance in every area of life. Another way to invest in yourself is by building strong habits. Your habits shape your days, and your days shape your life. If you develop routines that prioritize productivity, learning, and personal growth, you set yourself up for long-term success. Simple habits like reading daily, setting goals, reviewing your progress, and taking time for reflection compound over time. Just as money grows through compound interest, self-investment grows through consistent, repeated actions. Self-awareness is a form of investment that pays huge dividends. The better you understand yourself, your strengths, weaknesses, triggers, and passions, the better decisions you can make. Self-awareness helps you focus on areas where you can excel, while also showing you where you need to improve. It prevents you from wasting time on things that don't align with your values or goals. This kind of clarity doesn't come automatically. It comes from journaling, asking for feedback, and being willing to examine your thoughts and behaviors honestly. Financial literacy is another critical area of self-investment. Even if money isn't your primary motivation, understanding how to manage, save, and grow it is essential. Financial stress can derail even the most talented and hard-working person. Learning about budgeting, investing, and wealth-building strategies gives you freedom and peace of mind. It also gives you the power to make choices based on your values, not just your financial circumstances. One of the most overlooked forms of investing in yourself is building meaningful relationships. The people you spend time with influence your mindset, your standards, and your opportunities. By surrounding yourself with positive, ambitious, and supportive people, you raise your own game. Networking, seeking mentors, and building genuine connections can open doors that hard work alone might not. But this doesn't happen by accident. It requires you to be intentional about the company you keep and the value you bring to others. Time management is another area where self-investment is essential. Your time is the one resource you can never get back, so learning how to use it effectively is critical. This means setting priorities, eliminating distractions, and focusing on high-value activities. It means being disciplined enough to stick to your plans while still allowing room for creativity and rest. When you master your time, you gain control over your life, instead of letting life control you. Emotional intelligence is also a high-return investment. The ability to understand, manage, and respond to emotions, both your own and others, is a skill that affects everything from leadership to relationships. People with high emotional intelligence can navigate conflicts more smoothly, inspire trust, and create stronger connections. This is an area you can improve through practice, observation, and self-reflection, and the benefits will extend to both your personal and professional life. Creativity and adaptability are investments that prepare you for the unknown. The world is unpredictable, and the ability to think differently, solve problems, and adjust to change is invaluable. You can develop these skills by challenging yourself with new experiences, learning outside your comfort zone, and embracing uncertainty as a chance to grow. The more adaptable you are, the more opportunities you can seize when change happens, because change is inevitable. Investing in yourself also requires a commitment to discipline. You can read all the books, take all the courses, and make all the plans, but without discipline, nothing changes. Discipline is the bridge between intention and results. It's showing up to practice when you don't feel like it, sticking to your routine when it's inconvenient, and doing the hard things when no one is watching. The stronger your discipline, the more reliable your progress becomes. Rest and recovery are part of the investment too. Many people think investing in themselves means constant hustle, but growth requires balance. Your mind and body need time to recharge. Taking breaks, engaging in hobbies, spending time in nature, or simply being still can spark creativity and renew your energy. Just as a field needs time to rest before it can produce another harvest, you need time to replenish your strength before your next push forward. Finally, investing in yourself first means believing that you are worth the effort. It's easy to say you'll work on yourself when you have time or when things slow down, but that time rarely comes unless you make it. You have to decide that your growth is a priority, not an afterthought. You have to see yourself as someone worth improving, not because you're broken, but because you have untapped potential that deserves to be brought out. When you consistently invest in yourself, you not only improve your own life, you also become a greater asset to everyone around you. You can give more, lead more, and inspire more because you're operating from a place of strength and abundance. The benefits compound over time, creating a life where success isn't just achieved, it's sustained. And the best part is, unlike external possessions, the growth you gain from investing in yourself can never be lost. It becomes a permanent part of who you are, fueling every goal, every dream, and every step forward you take. At the end of the day, everything you've heard comes down to one truth. Your life will only grow to the level that you do. Opportunities will come and go. Circumstances will change. People will enter and leave your life. But the one constant is you. And if you've invested in yourself, your mind, your body, your character, nothing can truly take that away from you. When you focus on becoming the strongest, wisest, most capable version of yourself, you stop living reactively and start living intentionally. You're no longer at the mercy of luck or timing. You create your own momentum. Every skill you master, every habit you strengthen, every challenge you overcome becomes a brick in the foundation you stand on. The world will try to tell you to chase quick wins, to measure yourself against others, to sacrifice your well-being for the sake of appearances. But those who last, those who lead, those who truly live, they know the real secret is this. You can't pour from an empty cup, and you can't give what you don't have. The more you invest in yourself, the more you have to give, the further you can go, and the stronger you stand when storms come. So make the decision right now to become your own greatest investment. Feed your mind with knowledge. Strengthen your body with discipline. Guard your time with intention. Surround yourself with people who lift you higher. And never ever stop growing. Because when you invest in yourself first, you don't just change your life, you change what's possible for it. And that is the greatest return you will ever see.